My name is Julia Scott. I'm 28 years old. There's a specific moment in a relationship when you realize you're no longer someone's partner. You've been downgraded to infrastructure, the electricity, the plumbing, the dependable Wi-Fi with autopay enabled. My moment arrived on a Tuesday morning. Ethan had left his laptop open on the kitchen counter. He always did. I'd never snooped before. I have my own digital misery. I don't need subscriptions to someone else's. But as I poured my coffee, a notification flashed across the screen. Serena Blake. Profile picture, all linen and curated chaos. The message preview read, "Last night was amazing. Does she suspect anything?" There it was. The classics really are classics for a reason. For most women, this is the screaming part, the glass-shattering part. But I'd been dating Ethan for 2 years. Ethan didn't operate in normal reality. His world was powered by lunar cycles and emotional frequencies. Logic was merely a suggestion. The red flags hadn't been subtle. They'd been neon billboards. Like when he insisted we couldn't sign a lease because Mars energy was confrontational. Or when he said splitting rent 50-50 was financially oppressive to his creative spirit. I used to think it was charming. I'd met Serena before. She was the ex, part-time photographer, full-time chaos enthusiast, the kind of woman who called everything a vibe. I was the stable one, the one with health insurance, the one who bought toilet paper before we ran out. Turns out he liked building his excitement on my foundation. I didn't scream. I carried my coffee to the table and waited for him to finish his morning meditation. His eyes fluttered open, glowing with manufactured tranquility. "So," I said gently, "are we in an open relationship now?" He blinked. "What are you talking about, Jules?" I took a sip. "Serena seems very pleased with your recent performance. She's curious whether I suspect anything." The peace drained from his face. You could see him buffering, searching through a mental library of therapy podcasts to find the correct absolution script. He inhaled deeply. "Julia, this is complicated." "Is it?" I asked softly. He folded his hands like he was about to deliver spiritual TED Talk number 47. "Serena and I have unfinished emotional business. There's history. I've been trying to figure things out." There it was. He wasn't cheating. He was journeying. I stared at him. "You're sleeping with your ex-girlfriend," I said calmly. "That's the fact. The rest is decorative language." Then came the line, the monument-worthy line. "Why are you acting like a victim?" he said. "You knew I was still sorting through my past." I let the silence sit. And then something unexpected happened. I felt relief. Not heartbreak. Not fury. Relief. The results were in. The lab had confirmed it. I stood up. "You know what?" I said. He looked confused. "What?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For the clarity." And I walked out. No door slamming. No dramatics. Just a gentle click behind me. He called after me, irritated, not worried. I didn't turn around, because something inside me had shifted. He thought I was predictable. He thought I'd cool off. He thought I'd come back. As I sat in a coffee shop down the street, sipping something that tasted suspiciously like freedom, I realized something else. He had just handed me an opportunity. He thought he held all the cards, but he had just shown me his entire hand, and it was pathetic. That was the moment I launched a new personal project. I called it Operation Decoupling. Ethan started texting before I'd even finished my coffee. First came irritation. "You're being dramatic." Then came spiritual superiority. "We need to hold space for each other instead of reacting from ego." 10 minutes later, guilt. "You're shutting down. That's your pattern." It was impressive, a full emotional buffet in under an hour. He genuinely believed I was taking a walk to regulate. In his worldview, I was the stable one, the responsible one, the emotional utility provider. Women like me didn't leave. We processed, we forgave, we financed. He had no idea I was already drafting exit plans in my head. That night I went home. I was calm, soft-spoken, even slightly remorseful. He had made dinner, something quinoa-based and aggressively organic, the kind of meal that tastes like accountability avoidance. "Jules," he said, brushing my arm gently, "I'm glad you came back. We can grow from this." Grow. Right. "I just need time," I said, lowering my eyes like the perfect wounded partner. Relief flooded his face. Hook secured. He began explaining how Serena was part of his healing journey, how intimacy wasn't linear, how monogamy was a colonial construct. It took Olympic-level restraint not to laugh. Instead, I nodded. "You're right," I whispered. "We should talk more after your retreat." Ah, yes, the retreat. A weekend chakra realignment in the mountains. Friday afternoon to Sunday night. 48 uninterrupted hours. He leaned in, pressing a soft, condescending kiss to my forehead. "I have a good feeling about us." I smiled sweetly. "So do I." That night, after he fell asleep, soft, oblivious breathing beside me, I slid quietly out of bed. His laptop sat on the desk. Not password protected. Why would it be? In his mind, my loyalty was a security system. I opened the messaging app. Goldmine. The conversation with Serena stretched back months. Flirty messages. Planning meetups while I was at work. Explicit recaps. And then, my favorite section, the critiques. She's so practical, it's suffocating. Her energy is beige. She doesn't understand passion. One message made me pause. Sometimes I feel like I'm dating my accountant. Sent 5 minutes before he asked Serena if she could bring party favors to a music festival. Accountant. Interesting. I didn't cry. I documented. Screenshot after screenshot. Every message, every insult, every logistical lie. 32 pages in total. I transferred them to a flash drive. Labeled it Research. Back in bed, I lay staring at the ceiling. Not angry. Just focused. Operation Decoupling had 2 phases. Phase 1. Extraction. Phase 2. Documentation. Friday afternoon arrived. I helped him pack. Folded his linen shirts. Rolled his meditation blanket. Carried his yoga mat to the car. He squeezed my cheeks gently. "I'm proud of you for not reacting emotionally," he said. The audacity almost impressed me. "I'm evolving," I replied. He drove off in a cloud of sandalwood-scented exhaust. I waited until his car disappeared around the corner. Then I went inside, opened my laptop, confirmed the moving truck reservation. 20-foot truck. Delicious overkill. I texted Daniel and Marcus. It's time. They arrived 10 minutes later. Daniel surveyed the apartment like a tactical commander. "Operation Beige Aura begins," he announced. Marcus cracked his knuckles. "Let's extract the queen." The rules were simple. My belongings go. His stay. No destruction. No theatrics. This wasn't revenge through chaos. It was revenge through precision. We started in the bedroom. 2 years of shared life untangled into boxes. My clothes. My books. My documents. The closet felt lighter with every hanger removed. In the kitchen, Marcus held up a spiral vegetable cutter. "Yours?" "His," I said. "Instrument of suffering. Leave it." The bookshelf required careful separation. My finance books. His aura manuals. My framed family photos. His abstract watercolor titled The Color of Sound. I left that masterpiece exactly where it was. By Saturday afternoon, the apartment felt unfamiliar. Hollow. Echoing. The couch looked abandoned. The walls bare. I took the TV receipt in hand. The espresso machine. Gift from my mother. My desk. My chair. My side of the bathroom cabinet. I left his toothbrush sitting alone beside the sink, a pink, solitary monument to his enlightenment. Saturday night, the truck was full. But phase 2 remained. I drove to a 24-hour print shop, used the flash drive, printed every screenshot on glossy photo paper. High resolution, crisp detail. I slipped them into a clean manila envelope. On the front, I wrote, "Ethan's Self-Discovery Research Notes." I returned to the apartment one final time. The space felt cavernous now, like a stage after the audience leaves. I placed the envelope dead center on the coffee table, the only object in the room. A statement, a period at the end of a very long sentence. I locked the door, drove away. My new apartment was aggressively bland. Beige walls, cheap carpet, strangely comforting. It smelled faintly like fresh paint and independence. Daniel ordered pizza. Marcus toasted with cheap beer. We sat on the floor, surrounded by boxes. For the first time in months, I felt calm. Not distracted, not accommodating, not stabilizing anyone else's chaos. Just still. Before bed, I turned my phone off, because I knew exactly what was coming, and I wanted to enjoy the silence before the storm. Sunday night. 10:07 p.m. I turned my phone back on. It vibrated so violently in my hand I almost laughed. 17 missed calls from Ethan, 8 from mutual friends, and then the messages. The first one, sent at 9:14 p.m. "Hey, weird question. Where is all your stuff? Did we get robbed? Call me." 9 minutes later. "Julia, this isn't funny." Then a gap. A beautiful telling 10-minute silence. That's when he must have opened the envelope. 9:25 p.m. "What the hell is this?" 9:26 p.m. "You went through my private messages?" 9:27 p.m. "You are insane." There it was. Rage phase. I imagined him standing in that hollow apartment, glossy screenshots scattered across the coffee table like a forensic exhibit. He wasn't angry about cheating. He was angry about documentation. 9:31 p.m. "You invaded my privacy. That's illegal, Julia." I smiled at that one. The legal expertise of a cornered cheater is always impressive. 9:40 p.m. "We need to talk about this like adults." Diplomacy phase. 10:02 p.m. You don't just walk out on someone you love. Bargaining had arrived right on schedule. I pictured him pacing across that empty living room. No TV, no desk, no trace of me. Just echoes and evidence. 10:17 p.m. "I was always going to choose you." Interesting revision of history. 10:29 p.m. You were supposed to fight for me. There it was. That was the real betrayal in his mind. Not sleeping with Serena. Not mocking me, but refusing to compete for him. Midnight. The apartment feels empty. 1:03 a.m. I can't sleep. 1:17 a.m. Please call me. 1:42 a.m. I'm sorry. 2:06 a.m. I messed up. Dua tigapulo tigapegi. I love you. That last one sat on the screen glowing softly. Love. Funny word. If he loved me, why did he only discover it when the couch disappeared? I didn't respond. Monday came. More calls. Voicemails now. His voice sounded different, less enlightened, less composed. Julia, I didn't think you'd actually leave. There it was again. Predictability. He had built his entire strategy around my tolerance. I went about my day. Unpacked boxes. Set up my espresso machine. Placed my books on their new shelf. Every small act felt ceremonial. Reclaiming. By Tuesday, the tone of his messages shifted again. Anger returned briefly. You're being cold. You're overreacting. Then desperation swallowed it whole. Please, I'll do anything. I let him sit in it for 3 days. 3 full days in that echoing apartment with nothing but his aura manuals and 32 pages of betrayal. On the third evening, as sunlight faded through my new beige curtains, I finally opened the message thread. His last text read, "Please, I'll do anything." I typed slowly, carefully. "Ethan," I wrote, "I'm glad my departure seems to have accelerated your self-discovery process. Based on the documentation, it appears my presence was the primary variable complicating your research. You're welcome." I paused, added one more line. "You should probably change your Netflix password." Then, "Please lose this number." I hit send, immediately blocked him. Blocked Serena too, not out of jealousy, but out of hygiene. Silence returned. Not heavy, not lonely. Clean. I sat back on my aggressively uncomfortable couch, made a cup of coffee, listened to the hum of nothing. For 2 years, I had been the foundation beneath someone else's chaos. The stable one, the predictable one. But stability is not weakness. Predictability is not submission. And calm does not mean incapable. The truth is, he never thought I would leave. And that was his fatal miscalculation. I wasn't a victim. I was a woman who finally believed the evidence. The apartment I left behind was empty. But the one I sat in now, it was full. Full of space. Full of quiet. Full of me. My life was finally, blessedly, mine. I thought that was the end of it. Clean break. Digital silence. Neatly tied emotional ribbon. I underestimated one thing. Men like Ethan don't collapse quietly. They perform. 3 days after I blocked him, Daniel sent me a screenshot. Ethan had posted a long, cryptic paragraph on Instagram. A black and white photo of himself staring out a window. Caption: "Sometimes the people who claim to love you abandon you when you're doing the deepest healing work. Growth can be lonely." 14 comments. Half of them sympathy. One from Serena. "Proud of you for choosing truth." I didn't feel jealous. I felt clinical. Predictable pivot. When accountability fails, seek audience. By Friday, a mutual friend texted me carefully. "Hey, are you okay? Ethan says things ended because you couldn't handle his emotional complexity." I laughed out loud. Emotional complexity. Is that what we're calling hotel receipts and linen pants now? I didn't defend myself. I didn't post. I didn't subtweet. Silence is powerful when you're not guilty. The real aftershock came Sunday evening. A knock on my door. I froze. No one had my new address except Daniel and Marcus. Another knock. Soft. Hesitant. I opened the door. Ethan stood there. He looked smaller somehow, retreat bracelet still on his wrist. "How did you find this place?" I asked calmly. "Marcus," he said quickly. I pressured him. I just needed closure. Closure. The word people use when they mean control. "I don't have anything to say," I told him. He stepped forward slightly. "I didn't think you were capable of this." That almost made me smile. "That's because you never actually looked at me," I replied. He swallowed. "I made mistakes." "Yes, but you didn't have to humiliate me." Humiliate. Interesting framing. "You humiliated yourself," I said evenly. "I just printed it." His jaw tightened. "You could have fought for us." "There was no us, Ethan. There was you, and whoever was most convenient." That landed. He tried one more angle. Serena meant nothing. That was the moment I saw it clearly. It had never been about Serena. It had been about ego. About testing whether I would tolerate anything. "You don't get to rewrite it now," I said softly. "You made your choice. I made mine." He looked around my apartment. Plain. Minimal. "Mine." "You really left," he whispered. "Yes." A long silence stretched between us. He wasn't looking for reconciliation anymore. He was trying to understand the impossible. The stable one had walked away. Finally, he nodded. "I guess I misjudged you." "You did." He waited, as if expecting softness. There wasn't any. He turned and walked down the hallway. No dramatic plea, no cinematic final kiss. Just a man confronting the consequences of his own overconfidence. I closed the door, locked it, leaned against it for a moment, not shaking, not grieving, just steady. The funny thing is, I don't hate him. Hatred requires attachment, and I was no longer attached. Over the next few weeks, the narrative online shifted. Serena stopped commenting on his posts, then stopped appearing in them altogether. Healing journeys have expiration dates when stability disappears. I heard through the grapevine that he moved in with a friend. That money got tight. That creative freedom costs more than it pays. I didn't gloat. I didn't check. I didn't need updates. Because the real win wasn't watching him unravel. It was realizing I never have to be someone's safety net again. The biggest shift wasn't logistical. It was internal. I stopped apologizing for being grounded. Stopped minimizing my competence. Stopped mistaking emotional chaos for passion. Stability is not beige. It's power. And predictability? Predictability is only boring to people who rely on someone else's reliability. Months later, I ran into him once at a grocery store. He looked surprised. I looked calm. We exchanged polite nods. Strangers again. And that's when it truly hit me. There was no ache, no sting, no unfinished business. Just neutrality, the cleanest feeling in the world. When I got home that evening, I made myself a cup of espresso, sat by the window, watched the sunset bleed into soft orange. 2 years ago, I would have been worrying about someone else's emotional temperature. Now, the only atmosphere I manage is my own. He thought I was predictable. He thought I'd come back. He thought I'd fight. He never imagined I would simply choose myself. And that was the only move that mattered.